Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mark and this is My Daddy Diary episode 11. Jumping straight in, this week we received our paperwork from the courts, including our court date for the parental order, which will take place in February next year. We haven't really got to do a lot until then. I need to get the paperwork sorted out to give to Lisa and to Darren, but beyond that there's not really anything else that we need to do. I expect to hear from Kafkas at some point in the near future to arrange appointments and things like that so they can come and see us and see the home that we live in and see how Sophie's getting on, but obviously I'll update you as and when that happens. This week we have noticed a lot of minor changes, although they seem major to us, in terms of her development and her growth. She is getting so much bigger now, especially I think because I've been looking back at photos and then I look at her now and I see how much she's grown in just 11 weeks. And it is incredible to me. It's just, she's just growing at a rate of knots that's almost hard to keep up with. And then each day we notice little tiny things that she's doing that sort of going along with that physical growth. There's also the mental development as well. I've mentioned previously that she was making different crying sounds depending on what she wanted. Those have definitely continued to develop. She let out a completely new cry. I was hanging something up on the wall yesterday and unfortunately I dropped it and it hit the floor and made a loud enough bang, but it obviously made her jump and it scared her so much. The scream that she let out was almost ear-piercing. It was horrific, and obviously it really then upset me. I got worried. I was like, is she okay? Has she hurt herself? What happened? Did something bounce off of what I dropped? You know, kind of went into almost like a panic mode myself. And I think it was just genuinely that it had made her jump. So yeah, she's definitely developing her vocal cords in that sense. One of the other instances where she lets us know that she's upset definitely happened on Friday. She cried. I tried to give her milk. I tried to give her cuddles. I tried to wind. I changed her nappy. And after about 45 minutes to an hour, I was like, I'm completely lost now, more than I've ever been lost, because she was really upset. And I kept thinking, I know you're tired, I know you've not been asleep, but when I put you down, you scream at me even more. So just on the off chance, I decided, oh, I'll try and put her into a sleep suit. She'd been in a lovely corduroy dress that was a gift, but I took her out of it, put her into a sleep suit, put her back down into a basket, bam, done. Literally, within seconds she was asleep. So that was kind of a new one. She'd never really shown us any kind of, I don't like what I'm wearing or I'm not comfortable in what I'm wearing before, so that was kind of a new one. So now we know she doesn't want to sleep in a corduroy dress. I mean, that's fair enough. I was hoping to sort of keep her in her clothes until I bathed her and then got a change later that night, but absolutely not. Because I thought, oh, you know, I'm just putting her down for a nap. She'll be okay. Not at all. She was okay in the pram having a doze in the dress, but not in her bed. Logic? No idea, but she clearly wasn't very happy. And like I say, unless it was coincidence that she stopped crying when I changed her, which could be, I don't know, but it's definitely something to be mindful of. It just kind of took me by surprise, I guess, because I wasn't expecting her to get so upset about something so particular. It was just a definite learning curve. It really upset me because I've been kind of fighting off a cold for the last week now. It's still kind of lingering, and so I'm probably a lot more tired than I usually am. And ordinarily when you're ill, you can just take yourself off, have a couple of days rest, sleep it off, take whatever tablets you need, etc, etc, etc. Now I'm not saying like I'm not majorly dramatically ill. It is just a bit of a rough cold. Not man flu, I don't do man flu, but those couple of days that I'd usually take to get over a cold, I'm not doing, and I'm still prioritising and being dad Mark, and so I'm not sleeping as much because I'm doing the night feeds and I'm running around after her or making sure that everything's done during the day. So I'm not necessarily getting that rest time and that recuperation time, which again is something I probably hadn't really given much thought to before we had Sophie. You just kind of take it for granted, I guess, that when you're not well, you can shut yourself off in your own little world, in your bedroom or whatever, and get better. When you've got a little one that you also need to look after, you kind of prioritise their needs over your own, which is the way it should be. So it's just meant that it's taken me a lot longer to feel better. But I'm getting there. That said, see, this is me. I'm daft because even when I'm not well, I will push and I keep trying to do things rather than rest. It is something that I've been told off for in the past, and I probably will continue to be. We decided to have a family day out on Saturday. I probably shouldn't have gone out. I probably should have stayed home and tried to shift it. I felt fine, so I said, come on, let's still go ahead with the plans. Let's do this day out. We went up into London to go to the Winter Wonderland, and I am going to do a video for that separately. One of the bits I'm not going to talk about in that video though was what it's like as a parent doing the London Underground. And now I know that's very city specific unless you've got an underground system in a city near you. That was certainly a learning experience. Obviously I was a commuter in London, so I'm very well versed in how the underground works and how to get around. It completely turns it on its head when you're trying to do it with a pram. Because obviously there are lifts and everything that make access brilliant, and it's fantastic that that is available. It's just it takes 3 times as long to navigate the system, because depending on the station you're at, we were finding we were having to get 3 different lifts to get down to the actual train level, and then obviously 3 different lifts or 2 different lifts at the other end. So you just have to allow quite a lot of time for each stage of the journey. And the other thing that I found really frustrating is the absolute lack of, it's not even consideration, it's just plain basic manners of fellow passengers on the underground. At one point I was actually shoved, and I'm guessing I'm giving the person the benefit of the doubt and thinking that they hadn't seen that the pram was in front of me, so they probably just saw that there was a space there. But even still, I don't see why they shoved. But basically I got shoved and I fell sort of on top of the pram. Luckily I was holding on and it wasn't completely with all my body weight, because it probably would have hurt Sophie. It was completely unnecessary, and I don't understand why people behave that way. Everyone's on the tube, everyone's trying to get around. There's just no need for it. There's no need for bad manners, because that's all it comes down to. It's very selfish, very bad mannered. So maybe one of the takeaways from that was that I said, well, maybe we should have avoided the tube during certain times of the day, maybe avoid certain lines or certain stations. But obviously we don't live in London, it was just a one-off. There are going to be people that live in London that rely on that network every day to get on with their lives. So I was quite taken aback actually by the lack of manners. Like I say, I'm not asking for special treatment, I'm not asking for everyone to bow out of my way because I've got a pram, but I would also like to be respected like a fellow passenger and not shoved around like that. And I've rambled on about that enough now, so I'm going to move on. We are now at home very much getting ready for Christmas. We're getting Sophie ready for her first Christmas, and if one more person wants to remind me that she's not going to remember it, my brain might explode. I'm very well aware that Sophie will not remember a single thing from this Christmas. I get it. Totally understand that. Does it mean that I'm going to celebrate it any less? Nope. Does it mean I'm going to try and make it any less magical for her? No, because she's still reacting. She's still getting a sense of enjoyment out of things. You can see it when we play, and the smiles and the little giggles, and she starts blowing bubbles and things like that. She is still reacting, so I can still make it magical. She might not remember it, but we will, and we will still have the memories of her reactions. And that's why I have do all of this with the filming, with the Daddy Diaries, is so that we do have that lasting memory, so that one day we can show her and go, actually, this was you won't remember this, but this was your first Christmas. This is what it looked like. And I'm very, very excited. We've started putting bits and pieces up and getting ready. And that sums up our week, really. Like I say, there are some videos on the way. I will also put a reminder, just as I mentioned last week, I am going to do a Q&A episode next week. So if you've got any questions about that you'd like to ask, particularly about our first 3 months of parenthood, that's kind of the theme of the video. It's going to be very much around our first 3 months of parenthood. So if you've got any questions, pop them in the comments down below and I will add them onto the list of questions that I'll answer in the video, and you'll get a shout out and everything, because that's always kind of fun. But until then, I'm going to say thank you for watching and see you next week. Bye!